So tell me about getting into character, literally the wardrobe, the hair. I mean, that you have to walk differently when you're, it's the early 80s. It's sort of the end of the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, I find myself playing lots of characters where I look very different than myself. And you get, when you're trying to get into character, you're thinking, oh, well, I'm going to, maybe walk like this, or, I'm going to find, these gestures are interesting to me. But then the pieces come together and it kind of does it for you. Like the way people behave around you does it for you. That's what I found with him. I mean, the clothes are so specific.
So specific. And the dancing and the music.
Yeah. It's so specific. And that hair, I mean, it's like that's so...
What's it like when they put, do they just plop that wig on you? Do they check different wigs? Because the hair is almost iconic. Because that's what listen, I was a kid when all of this went down, but I remember the white hair.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the hair was something... I mean, when Nick called me about playing the part initially, I was like, I don't know, Nick. I'm 20 years kind of too young to play this guy. I mean, our eyebrows are kind of similar, but beyond that, it's... we're both kind of tall, but...
was he 6'5"?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was very, very... Yeah. And like sturdy man,
So you put that wig on.
Yeah, we tried the wig out. We tried to do a chin too. So I've got the pictures I have of that makeup test. Thank God we decided against doing that chin, because it would have been a very different movie.
He was famous for having plastic surgery and giving himself a chin.
Yeah. Well, I guess people really called him
more of a chin.
Well, I was going to give. Yeah, I was going to give. I felt like I wanted to change the way my face looked in a way that ultimately it's like it just became a distraction.
Right.
It was just one thing too much. But Nick was game in letting me kind of explore that avenue, but the pictures are pretty ridiculous. of that. I mean, it was a lot like this. I looked like I want to say one of those Hanna-Barbera villains in the that Great Race.
Yeah. Tell me about the Johnny Carson voice. Is that really Johnny Carson's voice?
Oh, you'll have to ask Nick. I don't know if that's actually Johnny Carson's. I'm sure do you know if it's Johnny Carson's voice? Yeah. I don't.
I mean, it sounded like him, and I'm like, did they splice stuff together? But
they were friends. That's a moment that really happened. Johnny did kick in some investment money. Wow. But that car was a lemon. Those first cars that came off were unreliable.
Right.
They didn't, and they were, not everyone could fix them. Mm-hmm. So that was part of the downfall, was that they didn't work. Perform quite as well. They didn't go as fast as, as quickly as he said they would. And, that's one of my favorite moments in the movie, because I think it kind of shows John's showmanship.
Right now, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Lee talks about being a part of the MCU and gives us an update on a possible Pushing Daisies reunion. He also opens up and gets candid about growing up queer and what he learned about himself after playing a closeted Mormon in the Tony-winning revival of Angels in America. Stick around. Now, more of Lee Pace. So let's talk about a different role that's completely different than John DeLorean. Mm-hmm. Ronan. I mean, you're in that superhero world.
I know, it's so different. I mean, I'm a proper alien.
Like really, like you're blue. Like you're not just an alien, you're a blue alien.
Yeah, alien warlord, accuser. That's a pretty fun turn of events in my career.
So I was at, like I said to you earlier, I was at Comic-Con, mm-hmm. and they announced the MCU for basically the next 50 years or so with all their plans. Will we see Ronan come back?
I don't know. I'd be happy if they asked me back, because I love being a part of the MCU. I love playing that character.
Why is that?
Look, here's what I find so fun about the MCU is that they've created an environment where actually anything can happen. Anything can happen. Mm-hmm. The story can go into space, the story can go back in time, it's like actually anything can happen. You know? That's
why, when things will happen at the MCU and someone's like, well, that can't happen, but I'm like,
it just did.
Like, we're not talking about real rules here.
Yeah, I think that freedom is creative, just creatively interesting, and that it connects to the audience in such a profound way. I enjoy the movies. It's it's a fun ride to be a part of.
It's pretty amazing too. Obviously we cover the MCU a lot here at Variety. And the diversity and inclusivity the MCU is doing, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot more, studying Stan Lee, and Stan Lee was all about diversity. Why do you think that works in the superhero world?
Gosh, what a great question. Because it has to work, I think it works in, the superhero world that we live in today, but I guess that's not the case. It's always been, a part of what Marvel has done, but, it's certainly what I think people are interested in seeing now. I don't think that the narrow view that existed, in the past in that movie world, it just doesn't, it's not interesting. It's not
how interesting is it in the sense of you do have MCU or whatever, any movie or TV shows, and it's all about representation, it's all about diversity, and then you have this apparent sector of the country that doesn't want to see any diversity. Is the political fights causing the art to react?
Well, I think so, because I think when it comes down to it, this is storytelling, and it's like a direct line back to sitting by the campfire,
right,
and telling stories and exchanging values.
People want stories; they want to hear human stories.
They want to hear human stories, and they use those stories to exchange their values. When you tell a joke, there's an exchange of values about, this is really what I see in the world. If you tell a joke about a greedy person, then the point of view is, we don't like that guy, right? Like, that guy's greedy. Let's stay away from him. Let's keep him away from power. Let's make sure he doesn't get to the meat before everyone else. And I think, and so when you see Marvel telling these stories, it's about their creativity, but it's also, I think, about that conversation that's happening, and it's resonating with so many people, not just in America, but around the world.
Right.
We live in a global world now.
Yeah.
It's no longer just an American conversation. It's a global conversation, and therefore a diverse one. And I think it's an awfully exciting time to be alive. To see all that, it's a privilege to be a part of that conversation taking place.
So will we see a Pushing Daisies reboot, reunion, something?
I would love to
Kristen
see that.
Chenoweth just said it the other day.
What did she say?
She wants it.
Oh, well, me and Brian are always scheming about it. Whenever we see each other, we're like, oh God, wouldn't it be great to get the gang back together and do something? I think he's got a really fun idea for the story.
Oh, so come on, tell me.
I can't say, no, he's the storyteller. He's the storyteller, but we'd have to get everyone together. It would be so fun to do it, though.
Why do people love this? My husband loves that show so much. When I told him I was interviewing you today.
Oh, that means so much to me. Tell him thank you for me. I had such a great day. It was such a great time in my life when I shot it.
Why is that?
I don't know. It was just, I moved out to LA to do it, and it was, I drove onto the Warner Brothers lot every day, like right on gate 2 with those like palm trees and studios going through. So it was just such a privilege to be a part of it. And like, Ned was a good character. It's like, couldn't be more different than Ronan the Accuser, to be honest. It's like you go home feeling good when you play a character like Ned. Anna Friel, getting to look into her eyes and play that love story was just so much fun. Yeah, it was great. It was really creative and that was a show, I think, that you really felt like anything could happen.
Right.
I remember doing press for that show right when we were trying to launch it and trying to explain people the rules of Ned's powers. That he could touch a dead person back to life, but if they lived for longer than a minute, then someone else died, and if they touched them a second time, then they died for good. Did I get that right? I think that's about
something like that. Yes. You're still trying to.
Yeah, I'm still trying to like figure out the way to.
I mean, you've been part of these cultural zeitgeist moments. I mean, I think people forget you were in Twilight.
Yeah,
Twilight.
That was a fun one too.
I mean, that's covering the Twilight phenomenon.
Yeah,
it's still not over.
Is it? What do you mean?
It's just the Twi fans are still out there.
Hi.
Hello. They're still obsessed with the movies.
Yeah, that was so fun. I made friends for life on that one because we shot that big battle scene on in this ag barn in Baton Rouge. Most of the year they would use this space to auction cattle, but they covered it with this big white piece of cloth or something, and then for months we were standing there in the snow, standing off against the
looking very pale in our contacts, and
that was fun. Yeah, that was like this insane kind of portion of my career where I went from doing that to going to New Zealand to play the Elf King and the Hobbit, and then going to London to do Ronan the Accuser. So
that's a lot of makeup.
It was a lot of it. I mean, it was a vampire, an elf, and an alien, kind of all in this chunk of time.
But in Angels in America, I saw you in Angels in America.
Oh, did you see it? Oh, thanks so much for checking that out.
I mean, that's my husband and I went specifically to New York to make sure we saw it before.
Oh wow! Did you see it all in one day?
One day.
Yeah, that was the way to do it.
I can't even.